Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Honestly, my people, I've been very busy and I'm going to continue to be very busy this whole semester. We all got overtime. And the students I teach all have these issues. I got 25 in each particular section I teach. And they want to do things like cheat on tests, not practice their English, not repeat corrections, still repeat the same mistakes that we've already corrected. And I'm very busy covering my rear end so that when they do wind up failing, like a class did before, once again, it will be proven that they just failed because they wouldn't fix their mistakes. And so, yeah, we're quite busy. And I tell the students what they're going to need in order to pass, and they turn around and they don't do it. I tell them things like, not only that, but I also have students that consistently um, they show up for class knowing what they need and they don't have it. They consistently show up with no notebook, no pen, no tablet, no laptop, no way to take notes. And they walk in with this. And then they turn around, anybody got a pen? With the dumbasses. And they rely on the prepared students to get their stuff done. And really think that we owe it to them to be more patient and more lenient, even though 10 weeks into education, after 12 years of grade school, they're still walking in with nothing, unprepared. Some of them never come in on time. They chose to come to this university, but they live 150 kilometers away, and traffic is bad every day. And they come in late every day. And instead of them leaving early because they know that they need to be on time, they turn around and tell us, well, just go lenient on us. No, we're not supposed to. I'm telling you all this for a reason. At some point, you don't let people just keep on staying behind so that they lower the bar. And there are certain human beings that make it their mission to just lower the bar for everybody else. They literally protect underachievement by managing expectations that any system could have for them. So they spend a lot of their energy lowering systems' expectations of them and any sort of authority figure's expectations of them. So the energy they don't want to expend in actually achieving becomes energy they expend in lowering expectations, making excuses, rallying their little nigger troops. There are people that are like that. And what winds up being the case is that you can do nothing with them. So to land this jet black aircraft, I'm telling you about these students of mine for a reason. And that reason is that you are dealing with the same thing with the Westernesha. And I want you to keep this in mind. Brad is dealing with the same thing from Becky. And eventually Becky will do the same thing to you because they see us Western black folks as being domesticated. Make no bones about it. We're still their pets. Some of you say, yeah, but they be checking for us, or Becky be checking for us. Well, keep in mind that not every Becky checks for her pet, but every Becky knows a Becky that checks for her pet. And you know what I mean when I say checks for. Every Becky that hasn't done it, she may not be friends with him, but every Becky that ain't done it knows a Becky that did. The only question is, does she know that Becky did that or not? Now, for all the trouble the sisters like to bring the brothers, you could say this: it's very unlikely that sisters are out here getting it in with pets. It's very unlikely that a sister knows a sister that gets it in with pets or some sort of livestock. But Becky's, well, I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's sickening even to know about, but it's real. We know it's real because they say it is. But I want you guys to know and understand and realize that, and never forget that what you're dealing with are standard droppers, standard bearers. They're telling you to raise your standards that you meet for them, and they're insistent upon keeping standards low to manage your expectations so that you would just expect at a very subconscious level that you have to be Superman to win Lois Lane with her ditzy ass. The sister does it to us. Becky does it to Brad. And if you give Becky a chance enough, she's going to turn around and do it to you. That's where AC and I diverge in terms of our views. He's like, oh, just give anybody a chance, but not Keisha. I'm like, just don't give Westernesha a chance. That Asian woman is raised in the West is hell on wheels. She does the same thing to her Asian man. Now, maybe she's raised in Asia. That's not the case. But if she's raised in the West, she does that to her men, whether they're from the old country or whether they were born and raised in the West as well. It doesn't matter. She does that to them. She gives them that shit. She gives them that hardship and brags about it, takes pride in it. I'm difficult. I'm hell on wheels. Nothing's easy about me. Yeah, bitch, we know. You wouldn't have it any other way. So I come along and I try to tell you guys about this. Um, I try to get you guys to realize and understand that there are such people, and what you do in a nutshell is that you have to abandon them. And when people start asking, well, what do we do with such and such people? You have to come along and say, we abandon them. We let them sink or swim. We're not required to trust them, and we're not required to give them opportunities either. They can now make their own opportunities because we don't have to trust them. When they have built something and they have something to lose, then we can deal with them like they've got something to lose and something to gain. That's it. We literally have nothing to gain from them and everything to lose to them. What this means in a nutshell is that it's like this with my particular students, which is why I mention it. I got students that are all over the place. I have good students, but I also have quite a few students that are just terrible, and I know exactly what's going to happen, and that is that they're going to sit up and they're going to try to lie and say that it's not their fault in the end when it is their fault. They will waste their dad's money and turn around, fail, and then say that it was me. I just failed them for nothing, when the fact is, no, I didn't. And then on top of that, I've learned by accident the importance of black brand management. Every new hire professor that they got right now is black, with the exception of one man that's Turkish and Irish. Every single one of them. We got 3 new hires now on the male side, and 2 on black, and the Turkish and Irish guy, some of us would say, got some soul in him. Puts a little hot sauce in his lunch. In terms of the way that he deals with people and with students, that's a brother. You don't lower standards with him. You might remember that movie Soul Man when C. Thomas Howell played a white guy trying to be a brother so he could get into a university. And he got arrested, and he told his professor that he came to his professor with the excuse, and it was a valid excuse. He really was in jail, and the professor said, "This is my number. The next time," and it was James Earl Jones that played the professor, and he said, "The next time that you are arrested, you call me, and I will bring to you your assignments and some candy, and then I will come back and collect them later to grade them." Something of that nature. That man was pretty much saying, yeah, whatever the case is, you do my damn work or you fail. And that's how I've had to be with the students. And I've had to tell them, you put the right answers on these exams and these tests or you fail. You fix your mistakes in English or you fail. And the other professor has to do the same thing. And the other professor, the new professor, has to do the same thing. You will fix your damn mistakes in English or you fail. You are not going to come back and repeat the same mistakes halfway through the semester that you were making at the beginning and think you're going to pass. And at the end of the semester, you do that, and then that's when you fail. And that's how we got to be with the sistren. You are not going to sit up here and walk around with a bonnet. And understand this, when these food stamps got cut and these sisters start talking about how they're going to rally together just to steal, some of these videos are AI and some of them are real. Disregard the AI videos. If you're not sure if it's real or AI, assume that it's AI. But the ones that we can tell are real, especially when they're being followed out of these stores and to their car trunks with license tag numbers telling you stop recording me, cut this mess out. Those are real, and I'm telling you that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at them, you got to understand what you're dealing with. You got to drop them. You got to you have to abandon them. You can't be there for them because they ain't gonna be there for themselves. They're willing to sit up here and record videos, not only of them doing it, but really that's when they're being recorded, but they're willing to sit up recording videos of telling each other to do this. They're telling each other to break the law. That's illegal. They got laws against stuff like that. They are sitting up here and telling each other to go into Walmart, go into other places. They're rallying each other to unify on stuff like this. But you see, and it's like my students, they sit up and they call each other and they rally each other to go to some office above the heads of the professors and say, so and so is not teaching. We're going to fail because he's not explaining. They're rallying each other to dumb stuff like this, but they won't rally each other to learn. Walk into the classroom with your zipper unzipped. Just run that experiment. Don't actually do it, because why? That video is going to go viral and you're going to be in trouble for doing it intentionally, even if you didn't. But the point is that they will record this and it goes viral. They will collaborate, they will collude, they will share with each other, put up some information and say, look, this is an easy way to know this, that, or the other in English. Easy way. Once you tell them that you're about to give them a secret that's going to make English easier, their minds wander. They're on their phones, they're on their tablets, they're doing something else, playing games. But their ass ain't studying, they ain't taking no notes, and they ain't about to practice. So they're only willing to unify to get over. They're not willing to unify to actually learn something. And that's what you have to keep in mind. That's what you're up against. That ain't your fault. You didn't do it, but that's what you're up against. They are not playing, and they're not going to do this the right way. That is not who they are. We're dealing with the same mindset. That is why I've told you many times that sometimes the best men for these women are my worst students. They deserve nothing but that neck rolling westernesha. And the westernesha, the most obstinate one of her, deserves nothing more, nothing better than the worst, most stubborn, backwards ass Bedouin out here. Even if his grandparents weren't Bedouins, The one that has that same attitude wants to be down with them. That ninja right there, yeah, that's what she needs. Because that man will turn around and drop her. One, he may slap her and drop if she gets disrespectful enough. Either way, the marriage is over, and then nobody else is going to pick up and take her again. At that point, her companionship becomes target practice. That is it. There'll be nothing else left for them. Nothing left for them. It's going to be they struggle and they struggle and they struggle and they keep struggling, and nothing else. And we can finally get a man their target practice, even if he's nice to them. You have to be willing, and I have to be willing. We all have to be willing to look at folks that are willing to do that. You look and you see when they're willing to unite, when they're willing to call collectively to some sort of action, and to what actions they're willing to call each other collectively. And that's how you determine, are you going to work with some folks? Are you going to even become an ally? Or are you going to abandon them to sink or swim and keep all the good stuff for yourself? Because the world will be a better place if they drowned. That's what you got to decide. That's how you got to deal with folks. And really, when people realize that you don't give a rat's ass if they drown, and it is more convenient for you if they do, that's when they're more likely to start swimming and building and becoming more productive. At the very least, becoming more fair and just. Everybody's not a builder, and that's okay. Some of us are maintainers. But at the very least, they will become more fair and just. What you were dealing with, the fundamental flaw in the mindset of the westernesha is that she is unfair, unjust, and she's even against anyone else being fair and just to you. That is the fundamental flaw. That's the problem with her. And that's what's wrong with her. And it is the same thing with these little knucklehead ass, slowpoke ass students that are sitting in my classrooms about to fail. It is that they are unfair fundamentally, and they're even against being fair later on. And that's not my fault. That's not even the westernesha's fault. That's not yours. They chose to be like this. But once I know they're this way, what I got to do is I have to practice that black brand management where I develop for myself the reputation for being fair, just, and letting the swimmers swim, helping them swim, and letting the sinkers sink. Because what winds up being the case is that as we work on this black brand management and we do start going abroad, more of us will then be treated like the brand reputation that we built for ourselves. Every fall, the students are new. They don't know. They just wind up in somebody's class and then they find out who I am and how I am. But every spring, I get the same number of students automatically registered to my sections as any other professor, but I wind up with smaller sections because the riffraff checks out. Before they show up for the class, they ask other students, how was this guy? How was that guy? How's Professor Green? How was Instructor Black? And someone tells them, if you want to really improve your English, go to Instructor Black. But if you want to play around, don't even show up for his class. Are you going to be late or are you going to be on time? I'm usually late. Don't even go to his class. He's going to mark you late every time. And eventually that adds up to absences. You get up to that 20% threshold and then he drops you and you don't get back in. And if you try to talk to him about it, he'll tell you, get out of my face. I got to teach the other students that are still students. That man he's not flexible, and he doesn't care about your excuses. He doesn't even believe them. And other students will say, well, yeah, I actually took him. I fixed certain mistakes in my English. I passed. He did help me out. And in my later classes, in the next phase of the studies, were easier because of his classes. He got us prepared. They'll tell you. That's brand management. In the fall, no one knows. They find out. But in the spring, they start finding out from each other. And then the riffraff, the absolute worst students, period, don't even show up. I get students that fail in the spring semester, but you know why they fail? They just need extra time. They just need another semester. They're not usually bad people. That's not why. They might need more time to fix more mistakes. That's why they fail. And it'll be the same thing for you. You start going abroad and they'll start saying, well, wait a minute, that's okay. This is one of those brothers over there. This is one of the guys that will treasure women that treasure him. So you treat them well, yeah, you show them respect, yeah, you're good. But if you mess around and play games with these men and they catch that, they're gonna beat your ass. They're gonna leave you. Not necessarily beat, but they're gonna bounce on you. You'll be looking for the next one. And when you play a game with him, he gonna bounce on you too. So might as well just, if you want one of them that's really gonna treasure you and be romantic to you, which is fine for women to want, then don't play games with them and be straightforward with them, and you're good. That's the brand we want. We're working on that, but I want us to be more intentional about working on that brand so that we don't just accidentally get certain benefits from it. We intentionally get the most in exchange for the benefits we're willing to bring. That's fair. That's what I'm looking for us. And I am talking about in the context of a marriage too. I am talking about that. But in the context of a marriage, according to faith traditions, not so much the context of a marriage according to Western laws. You don't want that. That is not what you want. Trust you me. That's just a nightmare, and you already know that. You guys have already been saying, don't sit up here and get married according to the state until such time as you are able to know that you're not going to be taken for a ride. And a lot of ladies are sitting up here saying, if you're not going to be taken for a ride, if I can't take you for a ride, then I don't want to marry you. I'm not going to sign nothing with you if I can't turn around and benefit from breaking that. That's the brand that the women have set up for themselves in the West. They're pretty much saying, okay, so now that divorce cash outs are being done away with, then we don't want to sign these contracts with you. Why is it that they don't want to sign these contracts? Do they really not want to sign these contracts because the contracts are not profitable for them? No, they don't want to sign the contracts because breaking the contracts is not going to be profitable for them. And in Kentucky, as an example, they'll sit around and stop conceiving kids in Ohio because guess what? They're going to have to actually conceive the children of the men that they want to take care of the children. So they don't get to sit up here and say, well, I'm going to conceive this carefree Negro's child. Let him shoot the club up because he fine and he's popular and he's tall. But I'm going to make this responsible Negro pay all the bills because he's responsible. So I'm going to use his dime to feed this other man's slime. And I'm not calling the kid slime, but I'm talking about the baby batter itself. That's how they got that. That's how their mindset is. And in Ohio, you're going to see how they start acting. You know what's going to happen. They already showed you. In Kentucky, they just quit marrying. Divorces and marriages went down. Guess what's going to happen in Ohio? All of a sudden, there ain't going to be as many conceptions. And when they are, they're more likely to result in, you know what it is. You know, pregnant and then 8 weeks later not pregnant anymore. That type of thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's more likely to result in those situations are going to be more likely. Why? Well, because why not? Because in their minds, what else should they be? You mean to tell me that this man on whom I want to pin the baby, even though it's not his and it would never be his because I would never actually have somebody like him shoot the club up and reproduce in the first damn place. I would never allow that. But, you know, you mean to tell me that the guy that I want to feed somebody else's seed has to actually be the seed bearer? Are you nuts? And why are they thinking this way? Well, they're pretty much on that type of time because, hell, you don't need me to tell you why. You already know why they're on that type of time. And this is the brand that they've made for themselves. And the law is changing the brands of the guys. The law is now bothering them to no end. So you mean no more cash and prizes for breaking the agreement that I signed? So wait, you mean no more pinning a baby on someone that didn't conceive? That's what you mean? You mean I don't get to practice poor vaginal management and then cash in on that poor vaginal management? Well, what the hell is this? I can't do that. Yeah, I wish I was making this up. I wish I could make up something like that. But that's what they're saying. That's the brand they made for themselves. Everyone knows it, and now nobody can tolerate them. So that's why this is about both who to abandon and brand management. Because the two of them go together. That's why I'm talking about them in one recording. I hope this helps. As always, thanks for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. And as always, thank you for flying with us here again on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.